Here's a short practice for opening the shoulder girdle and getting the rib cage open and breath flowing through the upper portion of the body. So what you'll need for this practice today is a blanket, and if you don't have a spinal strip, you'll use the blanket in place of that. If you have a spinal strip, we'll be using the spinal strip, and then a tennis ball. So initially we're going to start off with a little bit of breath practice. So go ahead and take your blanket, or you might have a block too, to place under your pelvis, and just come into a comfortable position. In cross-legged position, if cross-legged is not a comfortable position for you, feel free to just do this practice sitting in a chair for the breath part, and then we'll take it down to the floor. So initially we're just going to take our arms out in front of our body, clasping them like a hoop. You can hold onto your wrist, or you can clasp the hands into a fist. The movement and the breath practice is going to be done with an inhale as you nod your chin towards your chest, and you'll be expanding your breath into your upper back. So I'll show you what that looks like on from a side perspective. So the arms are relaxed, the shoulders are soft, and you're going to inhale, expanding in the breath in the back, and then exhale to lift your head. Inhaling again as you nod. And exhaling as you release. Continuing with that action, inhaling as you nod. And exhale as you lift. So keep going, and you want to make sure that you're letting the breath be what's expanding the ribs rather than a muscular effort of the spine to press the ribs back. It's just an expansion from the inside to the outside. And finish off with about 4 more breaths like that. And after the last time you bring the head back up, you're going to let your arms come down, take them behind your back, and just clasp them into a soft fist. And if you have trouble with your shoulders that you can't get the fist back or the hands back, just let them come back, or you can even just rest them on the thighs. So the action here again is going to be nodding your chin to your chest, and now the breath is going to be expanding into the front of the rib cage. And then exhaling as you lift the head. So we're going to try to coordinate those movements together, so it takes your whole inhale to bring the chin down. And a whole exhale to bring the chin up. Continue for a few more, keeping the breath smooth and fluid. Again, the expansion is occurring because the ribs are expanding, because the lungs are filling. And then finish off with the last breath coming down on your inhale. And lifting your head to back to neutral as you exhale. And then releasing your hands. I'm just going to turn, and you're going to take your tennis ball. You're going to place your tennis ball under your right arm. So where the tennis ball goes is about halfway up the side of your rib cage. And then you're going to just let your right arm softly hold that ball in place. Oftentimes people will try to hold the ball really tight. Just let your arm be relaxed at your side, holding the ball in place. And then you're going to take your left hand and just lean over to your left. And it's not when you lean, I don't want you to pull with your head to lean over. You're just going to lean over and let your weight sort of rest into the left hand. And then you're going to focus on filling up the right lung. So your head stays static in this position. The only movement that's occurring is the ribs are expanding as you breathe in, and they're retracting as you breathe out. The shoulder itself isn't helping to lift, so it's not muscular effort from the shoulder to help the ribs expand. It may appear like the shoulder's lifting, but the only reason the shoulder's lifting up is because the rib cage is moving underneath it. Expanding as you inhale. And retracting as you exhale. Into this right side. And come back up to center. And take the ball out from underneath the right arm. Just have a pause for a couple of breaths here in the center. And just notice how much more freedom of ease there is on the right side of the rib cage to bring your breath into. Perhaps there's a little bit of opening in the shoulder. And then we're going to take the ball under the left arm, and you're going to just let the arm again hold the ball in place softly, and then just lean over to your right. So it's a lean from your waist. And then you're going to take your breath into the left side. Breath into that left side. And then coming back up and just release the ball and come back to center again. And just notice how your breath is relating to your rib cage. So hopefully there's some sense of expansion to the sides of the ribs, to the front of the ribs, and to the back of the ribs. And then from there, we're going to just take your shoulders up towards your ears, squeeze them back towards the spine, and let them roll down the back. So we're looking at how the blades are moving on the back. So the arm bones should just kind of follow the movement of the shoulder blades, rather than the arm bones really getting active and involved in these circles, which then takes a little bit of work away from the muscles that actually are designed to move the shoulder blade. So you can connect that movement in. Inhale as you bring the shoulders up towards the ears. Exhale as you squeeze them back and slide them down. Inhale, taking them up. And exhaling them back and down. So, and as you're moving those shoulder blades, I want you to notice whether or not your rib cage and your spine are helping out with the movement as well. If they are, try to keep the spine quiet and only move the blades as far as the spine's not getting involved. Okay? And then from there, we're going to take it down onto our backs on the spinal strip. So when we come onto the spinal strip, you're going to fold your spinal strip in half. And if you don't have a strip, you're going to use your blanket just in a soft fold. You can take it into a narrow folded blanket and then just lay it on the floor. I'll just use the blanket because not everyone has spinal strips. And where you're going to end up lying is bring the about halfway up the back. The knot to the base of the breastbone is a nice landmark to use here, or a bra strap for women. You're going to come down onto your blanket and just settle in. And letting the upper back and the head be supported by that blanket. So once you get into that position, just settle for a couple of breaths, letting your hands just sort of rest on the ribs. I want you to think about breathing into the rib cage again, because your ribs expand, nourishing the shoulder joint. I kind of moved off the camera, so I'm going to slide down a little bit. So just have your knees bent, and then we're going to take the arms up towards the sky. Bring your thumb tips together so that the palms are facing the feet. So with the elbows straight but not locked and rigid, the arms are soft in your shoulder sockets. We're just going to work with the blades again. You're going to draw your blades up towards the sky and then exhale as you let them settle back down to the floor. You're going to go in about 10 of those repetitions. So we want to think about the blade moving on the rib cage. The blade's what pushes the arm bone up to towards the sky, rather than the arm pulling the blade up. We want to connect that movement. The arm, the shoulder blade, and the collarbone all move together in a beautiful medley. And then finish off with one more lift. And release. Now we're going to work at taking the arms, or not the arms, but the blades. You're going to pinch the blades towards the blanket or your spinal strip, and then you're going to release. Pinch towards the blanket and release. What I want you to be curious about is whether or not your lower back wants to help you with this movement. Ideally, we want this movement to happen just between the shoulder blades. So those muscles that act to retract the shoulder blade are getting active, and we're quieting the other muscles that aren't required for that small retraction movement. So it might not be a very big movement, and just try to keep your breath smooth and fluid. And then we're going to combine both of those actions. So you're going to draw the blades up towards the sky, that's called protraction. And then you're going to draw the blades towards the blanket or the spinal strip, and that's called retraction. So you're going to protract and retract, keeping your breath smooth and fluid. Some people like to inhale as you protract and exhale as you retract. You can play with it either way. Your movements don't necessarily have to be coordinated with your breath. And then finish off with that last one. Let the blades just softly rest on the rib cage, and then we're going to start to take the arms in the direction of going over your head. As you take the arms up, I want you to notice where you come to place where you feel a little bit of resistance. So right there, I'm starting to feel a pretty good stretch in my back of my shoulders and my arms. So I'm going to play in that range of motion, because if I go further, I also notice I've got a little stuck spot in my shoulder socket. So if I push through that, I'm just going to encourage that dysfunctional pattern to stay there. So I want to just play in a nice easy range of motion. And as I play in that easy range of motion, maybe some of that tissue is going to let go. And then the range will improve organically rather than having to force it through. The other thing to watch in this movement is that your rib cage stays quiet. So yes, it's going to be moving as you breathe, but what we don't want to see is that the rib cage, if your shoulders are stuck and you get to that point where they're stuck, and what often happens is we'll lift the ribs and extend the spine to make it appear like we've gotten the arms back a little further. So we don't want action at the spine of the rib cage. We want all this action to just happen in the shoulder socket. And then finish off with that last movement. And bring your arms down. Just let them rest out to your sides. Take a nice full breath here. And then just roll off the blanket. Take the blanket out from behind you. Come back just onto your back. And just pause for a couple of breaths here and notice how the shoulders are now relating to the floor. So your blades are probably connecting to the floor. Maybe they feel flat on the floor. Maybe there's a sense of openness through the shoulder girdle. And then from there, go ahead and roll over onto your side. Come back to find a comfortable seated position. And just close your eyes for a moment and notice how your breath now relates to the rib cage and the shoulder girdle. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.